Night as we get ready for the first round of playoffs this week in the Ohio High School football playoffs. I'm Tim Boulware, Scott Logan, Coach Joe Wyatt of Gibsonburg will join us here in just a minute, and we'll talk about his draw for his team as they get ready for their opening round game in Division 7. And hey, it's a great time of the year. It's, yes, there probably are too many teams involved.
As usual.
And, yes, there'll probably be a lot of lopsided games, but, it'll be fun. It'll give the kids an opportunity. And who knows, maybe you have that outside shot for an Edison-Bellevue upset like we had a couple years ago. You never know.
I think that's only happened one time.
Yes, it has.
You know.
I think there was a 2, though, that lost.
There's a 2 that's lost.
Yeah.
But as for a 16 to win and beat a 1, that's only happened one time.
Oh, wow. And, of course, the playoffs expanded we had the COVID year, everybody got in.
Right.
And 2021, that's when it all and maybe in 22. I think they waited one more year, and then they went back to 2022. Was that right, Coach? Was that 2022? Was that ever right?
I think.
All these years blending together, which means I'm getting older.
Joe, you can vouch for that, right?
Yeah,
it all runs together.
It all runs together sometimes.
Memories. Anyway, hey, I have to get on my soapbox for a minute. How in the heck do those guys that interfered in the World Series get their refund back for those tickets? Nice job, Yankees. That's why you have so many haters. I mean, fans.
Fans, you mean?
Yes.
That was very unique after watching the replay on that and how you can – it's one thing to protect yourself, obviously. It's another thing when his buddy goes and wants to yank his glove and get rid of the ball. Then the other guy grabs his wrist, and I'm thinking, what are you going to do with the guy?
What do you expect with the franchise head Jeffrey Mayer, who then became – he didn't make it to the majors, but he was a minor league baseball player for a time.
Interesting. We'll see what the Yankees can do tonight.
All right. Well, we're not here to talk about baseball, even though that's important. You can come here to Frickers at $7.99 steak night, and you can watch the Yankees and Dodgers in the 5th game of the World Series. But let's talk to Coach Joe Wyatt of Gibsonburg. We'll kind of sparse it in between. We'll let you know about some of the divisions. We don't have many Division I teams in our area, so we'll probably primarily focus on 2 through 7. But, Coach, you get your opening round game coming up on Friday night against Arlington, 5-5 team. And you're coming in on a roll. You have not lost since the 13th of September against Hopewell Loudon, who we know obviously repeated as conference champs. So, but you've had a great season. Where does it lie for your team coming in and being on that roll that you want them to be?
Yeah, we've won the last 6 games, and we had a couple of close games in that with Calvert and Margaretta. We're pretty close, but then we had 4 blowout games basically. But, we're playing pretty good, we think, and we didn't lose a home game yet this year, and we won the last 2 home games, I think, of our season last year. So we've won, 7 straight home games. So I'm really proud of that part, not losing at home.
Is there a bit of a chip on your shoulder? Last year, I know that you really wanted to be in the playoffs. You fell out. Obviously St. Joe was winless at that time, so didn't get you many computer points at that. But now that you had that opportunity here, these guys have had a year more experience. How much of that is a motivating factor for you to do well?
Well, last year was a rebuilding year, and we played all them freshmen. So a lot of people don't think 5-5 is that good, but I was happy with it. I know some of our fans probably weren't, but, you can't expect freshmen to get in there. You just hope they survive the season. And we did lose a couple at times, a couple good ones, freshmen even. But it was rebuilding, but I think we're happy where we're at. We come out strong, won a huge game for us, the first game. And they haven't been beat since with Ottawa Hills. And we played Seneca East tough. We played tough against the 2 games. We beat Calvert this year, which gave us a lot of points. And last year, so we lost our first 4 ball games last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that really made a difference for you. You had the switching quarterbacks this year, Wallaby, Mooney. You've had is that now more solidified? Are you getting one guy more than the other?
Well, I think Mooney plays a little bit more because we play under center more than we do out of shotgun, And I think that's the reason, but because Walby plays running back end, so
Yeah.
we just think we're better sometimes under center, but we're trying to transfer over, and we practice both. And it's a little bit.
Sarcasm here. Under center, wow, what a concept. I mean, you don't see many offenses like that nowadays.
No, and I think it gives some teams trouble seeing us with the wing T stuff under center, and it helps us.
Yeah, Scott, I one more question. In terms of defense, where do you see your defense right now and how they're playing at a level that you want them to going into this first game?
Well, our defense have played super all year. We're at a plus 22 right now, I think it is, on turnovers. They've played really, really well for the most part. Interceptions is unbelievable. I mean, we got like 22 interceptions, I think, this year. One guy's got 8. Another guy's got 4. And then 2-1 on our 4 deep guys.
That's a lot of interceptions. I mean, 8?
8, yeah.
You know, darn near almost, like you said, averaging 1 a game. How's your health-wise going into the playoffs?
We have no one hurt right now. I mean, we've had a few aches and pains, a few ankles, twists, that thing, as the season was. But right now, we're at 100%. Nobody's hurt at all right now. So it's worked out.
So the weather's supposed to be beautiful, my understanding. Speaking of weather,
but it's supposed to be colder again.
Well, cold.
That's
we
fine.
hit 80 degrees today. And
We can't play this game Thursday. What's
right,
up with that?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's supposed to be in its 60s or something, but chance of frost maybe Friday night. I don't know, but it is football, and it's kind of hard to believe that I'm wearing shorts, you're wearing shorts, and here we are in the end of October, and what beautiful day.
I would wear shorts, but I don't have the legs for them.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day at practice today.
Is that interesting? The weather, can that affect things with the attitude of practice during the course
I'm
of the week?
sure. If it would have been 50 out today with that wind, we'd have been freezing. And not as sharp. But with the wind, it didn't bother us what we do, and we don't throw a whole lot. Though we practice it today. But kids were really enthused, and we had a real nice practice today.
Talking with Joe Wyatt, the head coach at Gibsonburg, as they go up against Arlington this week for the first round of the playoffs in Division 7. And we'll talk about your opponent in just a moment, but practices, what do you do at the beginning of the season? Of course, your numbers are down, so if we ask somebody at the bigger school, they might have more physical practices or that to that extent. What do you do in terms of trying to keep these injuries light, especially later in the year?
We hardly ever go full go. It's probably, I don't know if you have to. In the old days we did all the time, but no, we hardly ever go full go. We block bags all the time. Now, when we run scout defense or offense, we don't have bags obviously, and that's a quick whistle because we don't need even the JVs getting hurt. But offensively, we just block bags all the time. Full go block bags, but we block bags, and when you only have 30 guys, you just can't be. And probably 10 of those guys, I think it's their first year playing football, either a freshman or I got 5 guys that came out this year never played.
So they're not used to that. I mean, do you sense any fatigue, or is this rejuvenate them knowing that this is a new season?
Oh, I think our kids are really rejuvenated. I hear it all the time. The starters are all sky high, jabbering about playoffs, and it's pretty right now. It's fun to be there. I mean, it's obviously fun to be there right now.
What do you know about Arlington? Undefeated. They did lose 5-5. They did lose 3 in a row at one point in the year, and they lost 4 of their last 6 games. So obviously not where they want to be coming into this match. But what do you see from them? What are some of the things you have to address for this week?
Well, the games that we've seen, we've only trade 3. That's all we got. And we didn't, you've seen a couple of their highlights on Huddle and stuff. But they're pretty good. They run, throw both. They're not hesitant to throw the ball. They're 50-50, I would say, in that. But they do have a very, very good running back. He's 200 pounds, 5'11", I think he said it was, 200 pounds, but he looks really fast on film. He's broke a lot of long runs. They run the veer and the veer option, and that's tough if you're not disciplined on defense to tackle the veer guy.
And I remember the Titans.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when the little girl and Denzel Washington were talking?
Yeah.
Veer's a run.
Yeah. So, but we think they're pretty good. They beat a couple of really good teams. I mean, I think they beat Ada, that might have been Ada's only loss.
Yeah.
But they beat Ada, but then
They had 2 losses.
two
Yep.
losses.
And that was 44-43. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a
Big
game
score.
that give defensive coordinators great errors.
Yeah. So I think they're a pretty good ball club. And there's a lot of teams in their league. There's like 3 other teams in the same league that only got like 2 losses. So they all beat each other. So they're pretty solid.
Yeah, going back through this, I do see on the defensive side of the ball, of course, they played Acadia last week, who hadn't won a game all year.
Right.
But the last 4 games are giving up 26 points, 37 points, 20 points, and there again 7 points here last week. But it looks like defensive-wise, I mean, they're giving up points.
They're giving
That's
up
for
a
sure.
few points.
That's
We're
for
hoping
sure.
we can score points.
Right. Well, I don't
We're
think you'll
hoping.
have problem scoring points. You
I
do
hope
real
so.
well scoring points,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Well,
I know it's a different animal when it comes playoff time, but you're doing well. It seems like the freshmen, like you said, they graduate. Now they're, if you want to call them graduate, into being sophomores and the juniors up and so forth. But it seems like things, the nucleus-wise, seems to be doing well. And like I talked to you before we went on the air, if you look at anything, I know it's playoff time, but I think it's a good draw, and I think you'd have to agree with that.
yeah, I think it's an good draw. I mean, we don't.
One game at a time.
Yeah, one game at a time.
Understand.
And we're lucky you didn't get like Columbus Grove, who by far is the best team. But again, LCC, we didn't get them. So we're happy where we're at. But it's one game at a time. But we have to play well.
So is it true this year that being the number 3 seed, if you do advance, then do you get another home game then?
Yes.
Is that how that works?
Yes. As long
It's the top 4, yes.
The top 4 then get,
They get 2 home
as long as
games.
they win.
As long as they
Oh,
win.
great.
Yeah.
Understandable. Great.
Yeah, if they lose,
Well, I know
they're
they're
not
gonna be
getting any
gone.
home games.
I was just kind of curious because I was just kind of curious about how that would work, knowing that they would advance, but I wasn't for sure that they get 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and is that a comfort level for routine for you? Because some coaches, I know that when we talked to Chad Long at Ross, he likes the road game.
He does.
Because for some reason it gets them mentally sharp when they're on the bus and everything. But for some teams, they like the home atmosphere, the familiar setting, the fans being able to drive the short distance in town. What is it? What's that mean for
I'm
your
okay
kids?
with home games. I'm old enough. I don't like the bus rides.
Ain't nothing
I
like
don't-
home. That's right.
Yeah, I don't like the bus rides. So
Nothing like home cooking.
So yeah.
What's been the difference for your explosion of points this year? I mean, what is giving you that capability?
Well, I think our kids are all a year older, and they know our basic offense. They know what to do. They block well, and I think the defense is just improved over a year ago immensely.
Mm-hmm.
So,
In what areas?
well, I think all our DBs has gotten better. They remember all of them started last year.
Yes.
And there's one sophomore, 2 juniors, and 1 senior back there. Our strong safety's a senior, and he's got, I think, at least 2 picks at playing strong safety. And our 2 linebackers are both back from a year ago, and one's a junior and one's a senior. So, and they weren't linebackers before that, before last year. So I think they're all more comfortable. Our defensive line has gotten better. Our nose tackle and our tackle are much better than a year ago, what we have. And our 2 ends both played there, and they're just a year older.
Is
too.
there a secret to having success to interceptions? I mean, is it film study? I mean, I'm sure I would give a variety of reasons, but
I think
what is there been one underlying factor for this?
Well, my defensive coordinator, Glenn Owens, has done a great job this year. The way he goes with film with these kids before we go out on Tuesdays, we're inside watching film for 40 minutes at least, and he's going through every basic play or their best plays. And these kids are absorbing everything he says on defense. I mean, they want to win, and they bought in to the watching film part of it. And I think that's it. And he's just done a great job of finding tendencies and all that. And it's just grown with this interception thing. I mean, last year he was happy to let him catch it and tackle him. Now we figured out the other part. Let's knock it down or intercept it. Let's just don't. We're just hoping we can cover him like a year ago. Now we feel comfortable.
With that aspect being not necessarily saying obviously you're a smaller school, but I always wondered. I didn't get a chance to play on the defensive side of the ball when I played, but being a receiver, and then if you're all of a sudden being a secondary person on the corner, you think like a receiver. Your mind thinks like a receiver because you're going both ways. So, and obviously with the double moves and stuff like that, and the intentional picking that goes on down by the sidelines, I'd always wondered how that felt as an athlete to be on the other side of the ball where you're playing defense other than just catching the ball and you're trying to lick somebody and break something up. I think that's very unique in today's game, especially when kids are going both ways and they're learning something. Maybe they're all wide out, but yet they flip the script. And most of the time, those are a little quicker athletes, so to say, and they're playing defensive back and they're switching. They're taking that hat off and putting the defensive hat on. And I think that's a little bit of an advantage when you have to have kids go both ways. It's the same way. I don't care if you're on the offensive and defensive line. You're blocking to a certain area, and then obviously you want to penetrate a certain area when you're playing defense. I think you guys are doing a great job at that.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
That's all I have, sir.
I thought there was a question,
no,
so we'll let him off
just
easy.
letting
Okay,
him know.
all right. Hey, so lastly, Coach, however far you go, and I know 2 years ago, of course, you went to the furthest that you ever had with a school. Went to the fourth round of the playoffs. So, what does it mean to you to coach this group? I mean, because every team has a different identity. So what's this team's identity when it's all said and done?
Well, it's fun coaching these guys because they absorb what you tell them. They actually listen. We don't have attitudes. They all know their job. They know their responsibilities and what they have to do. I think I'm up front with them, what I think is going on. So they know what's going on. We don't pull punches and, tell it the way it is and that. My assistant coaches have done a great job of buying in and doing everything that I want or what Coach Owens wants on defense. Mm-hmm. So it's been a collective of things. I don't think there's any one thing that is that much different. These kids are a good group of guys.
Well, that's great. And it's great to hear that they're having such success this season. And hopefully, to continue for another week and another week beyond that, and we'll see where it goes. It's always a fun time of the year, and we do appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Coach
Friday
Joe
night.
Wyatt joining us from Gibsonburg as they actually will take on once again they're going to take on Arlington at 5-5 coming up on Friday night at 7 o'clock. And some other teams in Division 7 that should we focus on. Mohawk, they will go up against Edgerton. And then it was also the other matchup would be Tiffin Calvert going up against Hardin Northern. And Calvert will be hosting that game in Division 7. We'll give you the Division 6 coming up on the other side of this timeout. Remember, it's steak night for our final Frickers Coaches Show of the football season. $7.99 steak right here at Frickers for the Coaches Show. Mike May from Oak Harbor will join us coming up next as we roll along here from Frickers with you here on Eagle 99. Back at Frickers for the Coaches Show, our final one for the fall season. We'll go over, well, why don't we go over Division III since we have our guest Mike May coming up here in just a second and find out what's going on. Actually, I should have corrected on that. What I should have done? I should have brought my cheater glasses. So you know what? I'm going to give this to you, Scott.
I can read the.
I was trying my George
flies?
Costanza squinting, and it did not work.
Oh, Division III is what we're looking at, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Should I read your notes or my notes? Let's see here. Oh, my goodness.
While you're looking at that, I'll give you our BAS sports schedule coming up for this week. We have the Wolf 92-1, Clyde hosting Otsego, Division 4, Region 14. Then Coast Country 100.9 has Upper Sandusky at Perkins. That's Division 4 as well. And Region 14, Sandusky at Oregon Clay. Wow, that should be a heck of a matchup.
Should be.
Division 2, Region 6. And also we'll have the Ross game and Medina Highland, the Division 2, Region 6. That will be here on Eagle 99. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, in Division 3, Region 10, Rocky River will be at Toledo Central Catholic. That's 2-8 team versus a 9-1. Norwalk 2-8 at Medina Buckeye. There's that Medina again, 9-1.
Yeah, they got a lot of schools there.
Yeah, they do. There are at least 3 of them that I know of. Tiffin Columbian 4-6 is at Cleveland Benedictine 8-2. Parma Heights Holy Name 3-6 at Rocky River, who is 7-3. Lexington 5-5 is at Maumee, who is 8-2. And the team that Fremont Ross just beat last week, Bowling Green, 6-4 at Defiance. 6-4. It makes me wonder if that's a rematch.
Yeah,
I think it is a
yes,
rematch
it is a
from the
rematch
first
game.
or second game.
Well,
of the year.
and now we're going to focus on Division 5 because we have Oak Harbor's head coach Mike May joining us, and he's got Fredericktown this week, and we're discussing geography. I was letting him know about Fredericktown. It was, I forget down what route, but Luke Perry was from there. He was from 90210 fame. Of course, he's since passed, but from what I heard, he went to their festival every year, so kept in touch with his hometown. Anyway, let's talk about your team. And we haven't talked to you since that Eastwood game. So 31-27, your only real close game of the year. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, wow, I mean, undefeated season was in the balance. Your team came out the winner. But how much was that healthy for you to have a close game like that and see how your guys were tested?
I tell you what, that was a great high school football game. It really was 2 evenly matched teams, and it was back and forth the entire game. Their team is very similar to ours in their makeup, type of athletes they have. And it was great for us to be able to be in that type of a game and be on the winning end of it. We felt very fortunate to get out of there with a win. And it came down to the final 2 seconds. We had to make a stop from the 2-yard line to win that. But that's a game that could have went either way, and Eastwood just played a great game. And it was just a great high school football game, it really was.
When you look at your team right now, and obviously a lot of people have comparisons to last year, and I think that's somewhat unwarranted because obviously you have some guys back, and they have more experience, but you also have some different guys. Where do you see this team excelling well going into the playoffs?
I think we're playing pretty balanced football with really in all 3 phases. I think we're playing well and have some momentum going in to the postseason. But also, like this team compared to last year, a lot of our seniors have been playing, for a long time, 3-year starters, and now that they're seniors, you can see that year more mature, and they've been through a little bit of everything, and that helped us in the Eastwood game. Because we really had some adversity in that game. And on our sideline, you really didn't see any panic because our kids and our coaches, too, have confidence that we're in a tough spot, that Michael Alond or Carson Reidner or Tyler Thompson or, we have a number of guys that we know can make plays really anywhere on the field. And they did that. That game came down to seniors making plays. It really didn't have much to do with all the coaching. It was those guys making plays, and so I think that's a big thing going in is experience we have now.
Yeah, it's interesting when I was talking. I know it was the last time I was doing the coaches show or a few weeks ago, but the feeling that you have you coach them up during the course of the week, But then at a time, you just got to let them go. They got to make the play. I mean, did they retain that information? I mean, maybe they see something there. Maybe there's a wrinkle off something. How hard is that sometimes?
Well, with our team, it's nice because I'll give you an example. In the Eastwood game, Michael Alon was rolling to his left, and he's a right-handed quarterback. Got some pressure, threw the ball off his back foot all the way across the field, a touchdown pass to Tyler Thompson, which Michael Alon is the only one really that was going to make that play. And then Tyler Thompson late in the game, Mike threw one up, and the Eastwood defender actually had it in his hands. They both jumped up for it, and Tyler took it away in the air.
Oh, wow.
And that's just an example of two kids that play a lot of football just making plays. That had nothing to do with X's and O's, anything. And that's really – and that's where confidence comes in our team, I think, because they know with those guys out there, even if we're in a tough spot, that we always have a chance.
Looking, having these kids this is a big group of seniors, if memory serves me right. What do you have, 13?
Well, we have 10 right now, but they're all like impact guys.
Right.
Starters or doing impact and special teams, so they all have.
It means that's a good group going in. I mean, that's a lot. You got some kids going, obviously, both ways also.
Yep.
And that experience alone is good, especially that you've had them a couple years, and then the steps that you took last year, winning a couple playoff games, and at that, them being seniors now, you expect a little bit more out of those kids at this given time heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice because I think I said this one other time I was here. Those seniors we have are like having assistant coaches on the field. With being coming in this year, we've been back-to-back league champs. We were the favorite to win the league again this year. So we got everybody's best shot. We told our kids that every week. We're going to get the other team's best shot. So we would see some different formations we hadn't seen, or, some trick plays, halfback pass, things like that. And our kids could adjust on the fly to it because they've seen so much. So that's been a huge – and it makes it really fun to coach them too. It's really been a fun year, and this is when it's so fast. When you have a group of seniors that are – you really love being around, and a team you love being around, the weeks just go so fast, and it's hard to believe we're in week 11 already.
Yeah, and – for the seniors, every time they step on the field now, it could be their final game. So how much does that mean for a motivating factor to know if we're going to go down, let's play our best?
Well, I think it's a huge motivation. We reminded them this week that, with high school football, it's a little bit different because once it's over, it's over.
Right.
Most of these guys aren't going to play football again. You can go play basketball, golf, do all that type of stuff. But, we remind our kids about that this week. And we really have – what's really fun is we have a really close-knit team.
Yeah.
They really seem to enjoy being around each other, and I'm really proud of the leadership we've had, and that reflects in our consistency. When you look at our scores this year, we've been pretty consistent every week with our performance on Friday nights. So it's just been a fun group to be around, and I think they're highly motivated to kind of keep it going. They want to stay together and keep playing as long as possible.
Defensively, you've given up 20 to Lake, 27 to Eastwood. Obviously, for Eastwood, 9-1. Lake was at 3-7 coming in. Defensively, where do you see some things going right now? Because a lot of people would say, "Oh, you've allowed the most points you've allowed all year over these last two games." Is it something that the offenses are performing a little bit better against you, or have a better game plan, or maybe the defense is lacking an area?
Eastwood was a tremendous offense.
Yeah,
that went back and forth. Lake was we had to put our younger kids in.
Okay, well, that makes
in
sense.
The first half, so
that makes sense.
Our varsity defense, I looked the other day because I wasn't sure what the number was. It's only given up 51 points on the year. Our varsity defense, so. We're real proud of that.
And similar numbers to last year.
Yeah, very similar. And offensively, we put up numbers all year. And, we've been fortunate to get a lead early in some of our games. So there's been a number of games we pulled our starters at halftime. But we still, our offense has played really consistent all year also. So we're really proud of our consistency. We think we've shown that in all 10 weeks.
Well, let's size up Fredericktown. They've gone 5-5 this season. And they have lost 3 of their last 5. They lost back-to-back Danville and Centerburg, although those two teams 8-2 and 7-3. And Danville was in the state final like a year ago or 2 years ago, if I remember right.
They're usually good every year.
Yeah, I always used to go to their church years and years ago. I know where Danville is and St. Luke down there. So anyway, But what do you see from them? What are some matchups that cause some concern this week that you address in practice?
They're a team, honestly, they're better than their record. They really are. They have a quarterback that's a handful. He's a tremendous athlete. They run him a lot. He has a great arm, and he's a tough kid. Like we've seen him on film. He's taking some shots and pops right back up, and you can tell he's a great leader. And they have an H-back. Their offense kind of similar to ours a little bit, but they have an H-back that's about 6'5", 225 pounds.
Wow.
They like to get downfield and throw the ball to. So there's some matchups right there that can give us some problems. And they have good size up front. Defensively, they're a 4-4 defense. They play a lot of cover 3. But they have one of their inside linebackers really stands out on film. But they're solid. They're not looking at them. If I didn't know what their record was after watching film, I wouldn't believe they're 5-5. They're a better football team than what their record indicates. So they're a dangerous football team. We're going to have to be ready to go, and especially that quarterback. We're really going to have to keep him contained.
Are quicker teams more trouble for you, or more physical teams? Could you have to match that in either regard?
The physical teams are always, always a handful. If a team can run the football on you from a defensive perspective, that's demoralizing. But we look at Eastwood; they were both. So they had a great group of receivers, and they were a physical team, so they had both. But I guess it just depends because you get a bunch of quick receivers and you get some matchup problems in the secondary. But the physical teams, I think, are always, if they can run right at you and do that consistently, that's a tough thing to try to stop.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So tell us a little bit, how was your turnover margin this year on the plus and minus side?
I don't know what it was exactly. We were definitely pretty high up in the plus, but I don't remember.
More
off the
so
top
on the
of my head.
fumbles or more so on interceptions wise?
We had quite a few forced fumbles, actually. Jacob Reidner, I just was putting the final stats together defensively. He's our all-state defensive end. For example, he has 5 forced fumbles on the year, which is like the most I've ever had a kid have, I think, in as long as all the years I've been coaching. But we forced our share of fumbles. Our kids take pride in running the football, and when you do that, good things happen. And we've also have picked off a number of passes too. But our offense has done a great job taking care of the ball this year. So I've been happy with that.
Sitting here looking at Frederickstown. Oh, they're the Freddies, by the way. They lost last week to a 7-3 Centerburg team, 21-35. Week before that, they lost to an 8-2 team, 14-31. So I'm going through that. It doesn't look like that they're blown out by any team whatsoever.
Right.
They won a game 30-28. They lost 13-19. They lost 15-18. They won a game 14-12. So it seems like they're in every football game.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
And we had, last 3 films in those 2 games that they did lose. It's closer than what the score indicates, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was right up till the end. So, yeah, I think they're a really good football team. They definitely have our attention, our respect, and we're going to have to play really well.
Great.
Sizing up your draw, you had come in as the number 3 seed. Was that somewhere last year, or were you 2 last year?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think we were 3.
You were 3 again. Okay. And you could face either LaGrange Keystone or Genoa if in winning that. And I know we're supposed to look ahead. You're not. So, but size it up. I mean, you have Edison as a higher seed in this, and then you have number 2 Liberty Center, who we know last year had played so well. I don't know how similar they are to this year's team, but they went all the way to the state final last year. So obviously, a very good program. Where do you see this shaking out for you in terms of your viability long term in this bracket?
Probably going to give you some coach speak here.
Okay, that's fine.
But no,
I think I had to try, Coach. I had to try.
But I will say, though, when you look at our region is very tough.
Yeah.
You look at those top teams in the region, and obviously Liberty Center, we had a tough game against them last year, and I haven't seen them on film, so I really don't know anything about them. Edison, we used to play every year, obviously, in the SBC. Mm-hmm. They are always a physical football team, so whoever comes out of our region will have earned it. There's no doubt about it because it's absolutely loaded.
Does that grind you down? It's whoever gets out.
Yeah.
Does that grind you down for a state Final Four or a state championship game, or does that build you up because you've done so well against some of the toughest competition in the state?
I think it kind of builds you up, and everybody's in the same boat too. I mean, you get out of a region, you ran the gauntlet, but yeah, and at that point of the year, you're going on adrenaline. I mean, you get that far, and everybody's excited, and the crowds are big. You're playing at neutral sites, and but everybody at that time of year, it really depends on who's most healthy too, because you play that many games, there's going to be guys getting banged up a little bit.
Yeah,
so
sure.
But no, it's a great experience to get that far. I was lucky enough in 2004 when I coached at St. Mary's Memorial. We made it to the state championship game, and that run was just unbelievable. And we were a little bit banged up at the time, but I just remember just the journey and the grind of it, and going off adrenaline, and it was a really fun experience. So, our quarterback said it best: we want to end the year with a win, and that's what we'd like to do. But again, we preach, and we're all about one day at a time.
Mike May, the head coach at Oak Harbor, to get ready for Fredericktown coming up on Friday night. And, of course, the advantage of being a 3 seed, you have a potential second home game as well.
Yes.
So that means a lot. Any other thoughts, Scott, before we wrap up?
No, good luck to you on Friday night, and maybe in a couple weeks we'll get a chance to see you. That'd be great.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that would be awesome. And, we really do appreciate you being part of our last coaches show for the fall schedule. So that's always a great thing. And a reminder, we are also on Facebook tonight. So we wave to the camera. Hi. Trying to get my good wave in. So you can see us here at Frickers as well as hear us on the radio here on WFRO Eagle 99. Thanks very much, Coach. Appreciate it. Good luck on Friday.
Good luck on Friday
Thank
night.
you.
We're going to continue along. We have much more to come. Clyde next. So look at what they're going to do against Otsego. And, of course, we'll have that game on 92-1 The Wolf. And, going over the rest of Division 5 before we wrap up for this segment. Edison's the top seed. They go up against Northridge, 116 matchup. And then Archbold at the 12 seed against Pemberville. Eastwood, the 5 seed. So Eastwood and Oak Harbor wouldn't be able to meet up until a regional final. And then Keystone goes up against Genoa in the 6-11 matchup. Those are some of the marquee games from our area teams. More come after this as we roll along from Frickers for $7.99 steak night. Check out the Cavs. They're hammering the Lakers right now, 48-25, and we'll have more after this on Eagle 99. Hayden Klein, our producer engineer tonight, and Nick Roth running the camera for our Facebook page. I'm Tim Bolware with Scott Logan, and We're joined by Coach Fulwelling of Clyde. We'll talk about the Flyers in just a moment. Let's take a look at their bracket for Division 4 in the Region 14. They have 8-9. It's Vermilion versus River Valley. Certainly an intriguing matchup. Should be the best of them. Of course, it's an 8-9 matchup. Clyde goes up against Otsego. Otsego comes in 5-5. Clyde 7-3. Napoleon at 5-5. We've seen them earlier in the year at 13 against fourth-seeded Clearview at 8-2. Elida at 15 against second-seeded Shelby, who's undefeated, and Perkins with one loss tag to him against Upper Sandusky in the 1-16 matchup. So let's talk about Clyde, some Flyers, and 54-7. You've outscored your last two opponents. So coming into where you're going to be for the first round of the playoffs, how do you like where things are shaking out for your team?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we're starting to get healthy. We've had a couple kids banged up last couple weeks. Looks like we're going to have our full complement of players. Last 2 weeks we've been out. Braden Olson, Xander Burrows have not played. Two pretty big pieces on both sides of the ball and even special teams. So, we've had to make some adjustments. And, you get this time of year, everyone has some kids banged up. They're not season-ending injuries like we've had in the past, but again, we're about as healthy as you can be on a week 11, and crying out loud, the weather's 80 degrees out, so I'm not complaining.
It's not going to be that way Friday.
No.
Yeah, it'll be back to more seasonal type temperatures. But your team has had some hard-fought games recently. I mean, we go back to that Sandusky game where you lost by one. So take us into that and some of the things that the guys learned from that loss.
I think getting off to a fast start, a better start, and we've been doing that, especially last week against Norwalk. We scored on our first 4 possessions, I think, in the first half, and kind of put it away early, and we played probably about as well as we have defensively. Took everything that they wanted to do away from them. We had a couple hiccups on special teams last week, so, we're trying to fix that. And then, Huron was kind of a ball control type of game, not a lot of possessions. And when we did have the ball, we decided that, we needed to score and establish a run a little bit. And we did that, had a couple long drives, and, we took 2 possessions away from them and had a couple blocked field goals. They got a kid that probably will be a Division I or Division II kicker. And to get 2 blocks in that game were huge. And, Sandusky, we're probably 2 plays away from being a 4 seed right now and winning that game, kind of going away. And
that would have been huge for you because you would have had 2 home games potentially.
Right.
Yeah. That ability to adjust. How is your team able to do that? I mean, if it's a more ball control game or rather a wide open quick strike game, do you feel that from this group that they're able to adjust to whatever the game is made, the officiating or the other team and the way they're playing it?
Well, I think we got a lot of balance. I thought we've come a long way up front this year. We've gotten pretty good, I think, with the 5 guys we got up front. But we're able to do a lot of different things. So one week we might decide, they're giving us a lot of run looks, we're going to run the ball. The following week, they might try to put 6, 7, 8 guys in the box. All right, we're going to try to throw the ball a little bit and spread it around. And, there is a lot of balance when you look at our 4 or 5 leading receivers. And, we do have one primary running back, but we got some other guys that have, last couple of weeks have pounded the rock a little bit. And we got 2 quarterbacks who can throw and run the offense efficiently. So, which is a luxury, and we've done a pretty good job at keeping those 2 guys active in the games. And we've thrown for 1,500 yards, and Brennan went over 1,000. I think Johnny's got maybe 600 yards.
Yeah,
as a part-time player.
And does that make your team that much more difficult to defend when you you have strong guys, but you also have a lot of complement guys?
I think so because I think for a defensive team to prepare for us offensively, I don't know if it was you guys who were at the game last week or I heard that someone had said something on the radio that our
It
playbook
was-
must be 1,000 pages long. I mean, it really, it must be pretty nice because we don't have a playbook.
Hey, Nick, he's talking to you. He's like he didn't know who was at the game last week. So
I had a 1,000-page playbook, and honestly, it's all virtual, but we just kind of rep the same thing. We kind of add things here and there, and different personnel groupings. We've gotten pretty good about getting the right kids on the field for the right plays, and we don't stick with the same 11 guys for the entire game. We probably play 18, 19 players.
I have to ask a stupid question. Do you guys even have playbooks anymore, or is it all
No,
digitized?
it's digital, but it's really not even digital. Now, defensively, on our defensive side, they have 1,000 pages of huddle, but offensively, we got a couple things. It's ingrained with the kids what we're going to do, and it's repetition on the field. More, a kid is not going to look at a playbook. You get it on the field. It's kind of like in the classroom. You apply the skills. If you stand up there and talk about it, they're not going to learn anything. But you apply the skill out on the field. And that's what we try to do.
I go back in the Wayback Machine, and if I had a playbook, I lose a lot of things. Ask my wife. I lose a lot of things now, and I lose a lot of things back then. So when I lost the playbook, I could just imagine the the fines or the running that have to do if I lost a playbook. I'm just trying to help the kids out nowadays.
Well, I'll call a play. I said, well, that's 95 flood. Well, we haven't run 95 flood with Coach Carter, and that's probably going back to Bob Bishop and
maybe
Mike
since
Martin.
95.
In 2002 to 2003, I'll call a play,
Yeah.
and their kids are looking at me like, what
Yeah.
the heck are you talking about? Heck, they haven't been born yet. So
That's crazy. That brings me back to my stuff,
I know.
too,
We're just going in the Wayback Machine
way
here.
back. I'm sure you still have the passing tree, right?
yeah,
XYZ, whatever.
in a sense, yeah.
In a sense, it's a little bit of different formula, and whoever wants to numbers, whether it's numbers, letters, and so forth. But go back and touch on when you said you were having some issues with special teams. What was that, in the punting game, or what?
Well, they came out and onside at the beginning of the second half. We didn't field the ball. We felt that the guy who the ball was kicked to was probably our best guy that they could kick to, and it just took a bad hop, and they recovered it. They ran a fake punt, and one of our best special teams player, Caden Perkins, had gotten hurt, and we had to sub him out. And we tried to balance the box, and we had 4 on one side, 2 on the other, and they ran it to that 2-man side, and they got a first down. So, that's on me as much as anyone else. And then with Braden Olson being out, we have a sophomore back returning punts, and he goes back and tries to return a punt that gets kicked over his head, ends up touching it, goes back to about the 1. And, just little things that you just haven't repped a whole lot. Throughout the season at JV level, Joel Greenslade has been our return guy at the JV level, so he's fielded a lot of kicks. Just you get the lights on, and he's done pretty well these first couple weeks that he's been back there, and I got a lot of faith in him. Sometimes he's a farting skillet, and you don't know what you're going to get with Joel some days.
Wow, I'd never heard that one before.
Oh yeah.
I've heard
He's
that
all
many
over the
times.
place. Love him to death, but he's all over the place.
Yeah, no matter how many times you simulate something in practice, it's different during the game. So what do you do as a
special
coach?
teams wise? You can't hardly simulate anything in practice because you have a kicker that, today we had a 45-mile-an-hour wind, and he's kicking it, goes through the end zone, so he can't do any returns. The kickoff team goes down there, and they can't do it right, and you just cannot really simulate what a game situation is. You try to get people lined up right. A guy misses a block on a Friday night on a punt, gets blocked. Well, if the guy across from him is a sophomore, 130 pounds versus, the Rothar kid who's going to Rutgers next year, that's a little different than what you see during the week. So
yeah, it's true. And simulating the speed.
The speed,
as you mentioned,
the size and that type of thing. And it is what it is. We're not Division I Lakewood St. Ed's that have 200 kids. You could simulate 5 different punt teams.
Yeah, they're 5-5 this year.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's
It's a down year for
Yeah,
them.
that is there might be panic from the alma mater.
They'll still make a run here.
Yeah, I'm sure. I can almost
Still
guarantee
make a
that. Matt Ferwelling joining us, the offensive coordinator for.
Oh, no. Special teams coordinator.
Special
So
teams.
I'll get yelled at if you
okay,
let that
okay.
go.
I don't want. Assistant coach.
Yeah, there you go.
Special teams.
I can see Coach Carter right now in the car. What the hell?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
He'll like to think that.
Well, then maybe he'll join us.
There's Friday nights that I think everybody's an offensive coordinator on Friday night.
All right, let's take a look at Otsego. And
Otsego.
middle of the season, they lost 3 in a row, and they're 5-5 coming in. Obviously, the game being at home really benefits your squad. But what do you see from them on film that causes some concern?
We don't. Honestly, we watch a lot on film. The only thing that I really know about Otsego is Brad Ballard used to teach there, or used to teach with me, and he always would talk about Tuntogany. That's a special shout out to some of the guys that are listening tonight. But anyway,
It would take me an hour to figure out how to say that.
Tuntogany. But Craig Rutherford's the head coach there, and we had scrimmaged and played East. He was a longtime coach at Eastwood along with his father, Jerry. Jerry actually came down in about 2017, 2018, and talked to us about the wing T, and we put that in for a couple of years and won a state championship with it. And so, we watched them, and it's kind of like what we did, 18, 19, 20 with some of the wing T stuff that we ran based on our personnel. And, we respect the world of what Jerry and Craig do. Bud, Jerry's dad, Craig's grandfather, is a Green Springs guy. So there's some ties there. And, we know them really well, especially when we scrimmaged them a few years ago when they were at Eastwood. And but watching them on film, man, it is traditional wing T. We're not used to seeing the wing T, anymore. Everyone's standing up and they
It's
want to
making a
pass
comeback.
pro.
Because, Scott, we see a number of teams run the wing
we
T,
have.
including Bowling Green,
Yeah.
although they run a kind of a modified version of it. But, yeah, it seems to be making a comeback because they figure so few are running it that why not stick out a little bit and be unique at it. So
As a defense, it could cause you a lot of fits. You got to do well on first down. As a defense, you got to try to hold them to 2 yards or less on first down. You got to make a play on first or second down. You don't want them to get in a 3rd and 3 situation where, 3rd and 3, they're going to get a first down 80% of the time. So you want to get that in a longer, try to force it closer to 2 sticks as possible, and just keep at them. They don't throw the ball a whole lot, but when they do, they're effective. And I see good things from Otsego going down the road. They're fairly young across the board. I was talking to the Oak Harbor guys earlier and said, they have a really good freshman class. They have a lot of numbers out of their freshmen that's on their roster. Give them a couple years, man. They're going to be, and it's the best team we play all week, so we're preparing that way, and we don't want to turn our stuff in next week.
what does experience mean in playoff action?
Well, this group, going back to last year, we're 5-5, kind of the reverse role, and we go up to Rocky River, and crying to me sakes, we were right there to beat that team. And I think it was a 5-12 or a 6.
Yeah, I remember
It
that
was
game.
kind of the reverse role, and we had them right we had an opportunity to win the game, and we just didn't finish. And I'm trying to think 2 years ago, I can't even remember who we played. To have that postseason experience is different. It's nice playing at home, like you said, against a team that, should be a good game, honestly. They do things the right way. They do things the right way.
Going back and look at Ossego's Knights, few of their last games, they did play Oak Harbor. They lost to Oak Harbor. They didn't score any points at 0-31. They did play Otsego. They lost to Otsego 20-35. And, they did lose to Maumee 17-41 here to end the regular season. But
we're looking at that Eastwood game.
Yeah.
They only lost by 15.
Right.
So
that's true.
And
that's true.
Eastwood's 9-1 team.
Yeah, that's true.
Their
that's
only
true.
loss of the year
So
came
it
to Oak
seems
Harbor.
like if you don't see that kind of offense all the times, maybe it will. We've seen it a couple times in a couple different areas, but if you haven't seen it, have you seen anything through the year that looks
Oh,
like
no.
their offense at all
No.
whatsoever?
No. Actually, we played a JV game week 9, played Marion Elgin, and they ran kind of a double tight, double wing. You know, and you kind of go there and you start out in a 3 front, and then you go to a 4 front. I think we ended up with like a 6-4, and you know, you kind of have to go on the fly. And you know, a lot of times, you know, you talked about adjustments earlier, making the adjustments on a Friday night, and you know, we're going to come out in this, and if that's not working, we're going to go to this, and you know, it's a lot assignment based, and you know, the kids have got to play discipline. And the bottom line is, you got to build that wall up front. You got to, our defensive line's got to play well and keep us in the ball game.
What about your offense against their defense? What are the keys there?
I think we could do some things. You know, again, you get out there, you got to execute, you got to play hard, you got to do the things that what's gotten you there. You're not going to change what you do offensively based on who you're playing. You know, it's probably going to be a balance of run and pass. Probably going to see 2 quarterbacks and see what happens.
One last follow-up, and maybe it's a point that doesn't get emphasized a lot and should. What does field position mean as an importance more in playoff games than even in the regular season?
Well, I think field position's huge when it comes to, you know, we've been trying to do a better job on kickoff coverage because early in the year, you know, we're kicking it down there, and we're just – the key to a good kickoff coverage team is to have a kicker that can kick it high, not only deep, but high. Now, it's great if he could boot in the end zone every time. It's great. They're going to start at the 20. But, you know, we haven't had that luxury of a consistent kicker in the end zone in the last couple of weeks, you know, with Huron and even Norwalk coming in. They had a really good kicker, and you know you're going to start on the 20. So you got to have that mindset. We're going to have to go 80 yards. You know, let's do well in that you want to get that first down. Once you get that first down, then you kind of get that flow, and the defense starts getting there on their heels. And, you know, again, last week we come right out and got some 3 and outs, and, you know, it rolls from there.
When you mentioned it rolls from there, you know, this is a decent group of kids that you've had for a little bit of time. You've had how many seniors this year? You've got
About 18.
Which is a good number.
Yep.
You know, and so forth. And so some of these kids have already been there, done that with the playoffs and so forth. And just sitting here looking at your bracket, hopefully you get. Obviously, you don't want to talk about getting ahead of things, but I see you winning Friday night, and then possibly going up against a tough Ontario team. But like you said, one game at a time.
Yep.
And I foresee that Clyde should be kind of victorious as long as they take care of the football and good assignment football, obviously.
Yeah, you take care of the ball. You don't throw. You don't give the other team extra possessions, and you try to limit what they do offensively. And, you know, it's a game that's made complicated by coaches, and sometimes if you just sit back and relax and uncomplicate it, you'll be fine. Don't overcoach.
Being complicated. Hey, but you guys make it a lot easier, so that's the most important thing. Matt Fulwelling joining us, the assistant coach for the Clyde Flyers, and we do appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck. You can hear that game on 92.1 The Wolf with Kyle Knight and Nick Roth on the call right across the way because he's running the camera right now, but he'll be at the game and giving you the expert color and analysis for that contest on Friday. Good luck, Coach. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
All right.
Good luck.
We're going to continue along and hear from Frickers for the Coaches Show. $7.99 steak night. You have that every Wednesday night. And the Cavaliers in action. But you also watch the World Series tonight. It's Game 5 from Yankee Stadium. More coming up next. Chad Long will talk about Medina Highland. They are a very, very good team. Undefeated coming in to Friday night's playoff game with Ross. You can hear that game on 99.1, Eagle 99, right here on the airwaves. With Scott Logan, I'm Tim Boulware, and you here on Eagle 99. Coach's Show. It's our final one, and here in Fremont between Highway 20 and the Turnpike. I invite you to come on out. And remember, on the weekends, they do a great job with serving you this delicious food that we have here. I'm going to miss it for 3 or 4 weeks before a basketball show. We'll have basketball shows on Monday night, beginning the first Monday in December. Now we're going to join with Coach Chad Long. We'll talk about Fremont Ross in their opening round playoff game against Medina Highland. Obviously, we'll talk about the opponent, and I know that, I see these stats, and yeah, they're good. I mean, the stats drop off the page. I mean, my eyes went bonkos. But, you still play the game. That's the main thing, and I'm sure that's the emphasis this week for the kids. But, looking at from your perspective, if you're going to play this type of juggernaut team at 10-0, this is a great time to play them because you're playing your best football of the year. Where are you excelling the most?
I mean, I don't know. We're just physical up front. We're clicking on all cylinders, offense and defensively right now. It don't matter who you play. It's 0-0 when it comes into the playoffs. Anyone can beat anybody. We're not worried. We're only worried about ourselves when we go up to Medina Highland and play. But give credit to them. They are good.
Yeah.
But I think we have been battle-tested with the teams in our conference, and especially the big conference. I would put Perrysburg and Whitmer up against those guys any day of the week. So, they score 46 points a game and give up 6 points a game.
They've only punted 10 times during the year, but they run the ball 78%.
Yep.
So, I mean, but when they pass, they're very effective because they kind of lull you into that with that Miser kid who has 28 rushing touchdowns. But then when they throw it, their quarterback has 20 touchdown passes and 1 interception. So defensively, where do you have to focus? Because it's hard to focus on any one aspect.
It's hard. We only have 3 films on them.
Yeah.
And there's like 18 different formations in which they get into. So we'll go in with the same kind of game plan as what we have been the last couple weeks. Line up and just play. Don't worry about any calls. Just play football. I mean, if you stop them in the run and force them to pass, I think we did our job. Even when we played them in 2020, they were more – they were pretty balanced pass run, and we knocked the quarterback out, and then they just went straight run, and that kid just hammered us. I mean, they out-physicaled us. I mean, I don't know any healthy bodies we had after that game. It was a very physical game. Coach Gibbons does a great job. I coach with him in the North-South game. He's a high-intense coach, well-coached team. You can see that. They're very disciplined. And, they're going to run the ball down our throats. That would be my guess.
So does that mean you bring up guys for that to stop the run? I mean, what do you do defensively to be as balanced as you can be?
I think we'll be doing what we did against Napoleon, doing what we did against Bowling Green. We'll have a 4-man front. We'll have a 5-man front, and we'll switch in and out based on who they bring in and out. We did a really good job on the defensive side, especially against Bowling Green. I think we held them to 31 total offensive yards, and they're a running team. Now, granted, this team's the real deal. They got a kid going to Miami, Ohio on the offensive line who actually plays both ways. They got a kid, I believe, going to Grand Valley. I think number 50.
I know there's one that's going to Brookline in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah, and but I did all that research and I didn't bring it with me, of course. But yeah, they do have a lot of guys that are looking at the next level, including their running back who's a junior.
Yep.
Who is looking at MAC schools at this point, at least the offers, but they might get some more.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Their offers, you really don't know anything more than that. Obviously, coaches see certain things in certain kids, but we don't care. You can have all 11 kids.
Sure.
We're not going to – we're going to show up and we're going to play as hard as we can. So, we're going to give it everything we have. I think we're on fire right now. I think we're playing with a lot of momentum. So anything can happen. I wouldn't surprise me if we do beat them. That's the way I feel, and that's really the attitude these kids have.
Yeah, last week, talking to you a little bit after the game, and telling you that I felt that was the most complete game Fremont played all year.
I would say that's the most complete game in the 12 years I've been involved with Fremont, to have all segments of the game on point, offensively, defensively, and special team wise. That's probably the best game I've seen Fremont kids play.
And also, not just that, the kids on the sideline, you can see there's an extra bounce in their step when they're warming up. I mean, I think Harris was doing all the talking. Zalen, which, he seemed to be all fired up, pumped up, which is great.
Yeah.
And that takes care of, everything else. But I personally, it was a great 4 quarters of football. Of course, there was a running clock, but watching film on Bowling Green and seeing, I thought, well, it's probably going to be a decent football game.
Yeah.
But it didn't end up that way because you took care of business. The kids stayed focused. The sideline stayed focused. Coaches were fired up in the right way, other than, hey, you got to be X, Y, Z, not here, not there.
Yeah.
And, you do have your work cut out for you, but if there's a time to say you're hot, I don't really like to use that word.
Yeah.
But if you're on a little roll, now's the time to be it.
Yeah.
And like you said, and looking at those kids from Medina, they're big. Yeah, you can see there's a lot of. It reminds me exactly like you said, Perrysburg.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little more speed than Perrysburg.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and so I feel that, you've got your work cut out for you, but, hey, any given Friday, anything can happen, and you just don't know. But got it there again. You got to take care of the football. Do good on first down, so you're not behind the sticks.
Yep.
And that team does not give up a lot of touchdowns at all through the year.
They had one close game, and I forget who their opener was against. But the one close game that they had, they needed 14 points in the fourth quarter to come back and win, and they only got Miser's touchdown with 1:04 left in the game. So that's been the only one they've really had that's been anywhere close.
Yeah.
For them. Now I want to ask you about Bryce Sheets. I was disappointed for him last week. I wanted to have that pick six. He came within 1 yard.
When you look over and you see you have Quez and you have Talon leading the pack.
Yeah.
And it's just that one guy. He goes, Coach, I'm sorry. I thought I could beat him to the end zone. I go, buddy, all you had to do is just cut back and there's nothing.
Yeah.
There is absolutely nothing there. And, it is what it is. Bryce made a great play, and our defense altogether, they played well.
And, you're going to need that this Friday night against Medina Highland. Defensively, we talked a little bit about it. Let's talk about your offense and your ability to run the ball against this team. It's going to be very difficult to do that, but what are some of those keys, or is it just come to being as physical as you can in the trenches?
I mean, well, first off, Medina has a lot of kids that play both ways. A lot of their kids play both ways. So, I mean, they're well coached on the defensive side. They roll coverages, they disguise coverages, they do a bunch of things. What we see on the offensive staff is the middle is open a lot. So we're going to explore. We're just basically going to attack the middle and force them to pick and choose. It's a chess match of what you're going to do. We know what they're going to line up, how they're going to line up in formations. I mean, we're still going to run the ball, and we're still going to pass the ball just like how we normally have been doing the last 3-4 weeks. And let's just hope Carson's on fire, because he was dropping them in there the last.
Yeah, he was.
The last 2-3 weeks.
He's been doing well.
It's 6 different players scored. So I mean, you're getting everybody involved in that. Does that bring a little bit of a difficulty to a defense, knowing that they don't know who they're going to be able to key on?
Well, I can tell you, there definitely should have a person over top Jadrian Brown, because there's a good chance that that's where the ball's going to go sometimes. But, Carson's smart, and he's going to see that, and then he'll go back to Mason, and he'll go back to Mackey. It's just a bunch of different guys he can throw the ball to, and it's all based off a concept. So it's not like it's always going to go to Jadrian, but it's all what the defense is given, and he just reads where the positionings of the defense is and kind of picks and choose off of that. I mean, we got a lot of things that we put in this week to carry over with what we have been doing and tweaked it a little bit to fit. I think we got a great game plan for their defense. Their defense is stout, and they're good. They're a 4-2-5 defense. They'll try confusing you as much as possible in the secondary, and they don't blitz, but when they do blitz, you know they're coming, and you got to get rid of the ball.
So I'm going to ask you an unusual question. The coin flip comes. Do you take the ball to establish the momentum, or
we always
I don't think
you always
take
defer?
defense.
he likes defense.
I like
Always
defense.
defer. Well, I mean, the reason being is that sometimes I feel like that very few teams do, and I actually agree with deferring for the most part, because then you get out of the. It's not. I'm not like in the captain's chair, so
Let me tell you this. Last time we played these guys,
Yeah.
in 2020, Caden Holmes, great quarterback, first throw, pick six.
Oh wow.
So, and that was
Yeah.
a running back as well,
Right.
who also was a sophomore and
Right.
ran for 3-4 touchdowns
lot.
against us. He was a bruiser. So it's a lot like what they have now out of the junior, who's a linebacker and also a running back. So defer.
Yeah.
Yep, defer, come up with some stops, which I believe we can. Make them have to punt the ball. They got 2 different punting formations that they use. It's like a spread, but they don't punt much. So
The going back to last game, I think it was one of the best linemen too. Offensive line game plan and staying with the blocks and seeing people on the line giving high fives to each other.
Yeah.
There was some few pancake blocks.
Yep.
Some great blocks. You know, that was one thing we had, and that's why I told you, Tim, and said, well, the Booster Club player of the game. No, it's the whole offensive line. You know, when I told that to Mrs. Moore, and she went, "What?" I go, "Yeah." I didn't have anybody else
I
to
have
give it
nothing
to.
to do with that.
Yeah,
so
I know
you
he
can
doesn't.
give it to
No.
whoever you
Yeah,
want.
I mean,
So
you could have gave it
that's-
to the offense or defensive
Yeah,
line. They were.
yeah.
I mean, it was.
You
it
should have
was-
given it to Doc Hershey.
Well, the nice thing about that is a couple of those kids are interchangeable.
Yeah.
So I thought, being the offensive wise, that was the best game that I felt as a group.
Yeah,
and working together.
They're focused. I mean, it's a different group. It's hard to explain or why, they're like this. But I think they see the light is at the end, and
sure.
they want to do everything they can. And they have been crystal clear focused for 2 weeks for sure, and repeating saying that we don't want this to end.
Right.
So
Because
we're-
Go ahead.
if it does, it does. But you're going to get the best out of them, so they're not going to give up.
And it's just like talking to a few of the coaches. This is the last time possibly that these kids are going to put on a football uniform.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
because that's it.
Yeah.
You're blinking, and where in the heck did 3 and 4 years go?
Yeah.
And a lot of those kids want to continue that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Last question, and you've won 4 of the last 5. Obviously, Oregon Clay, and I want to get your quick thoughts on Oregon Clay and Sandusky. How do you see that game?
I'd say Heichel's probably the best quarterback in this area. Nothing would surprise me with him, but it's hard to beat a team twice. And the way Sandusky's playing, I'd probably go with Sandusky this time. I probably would.
I'm going with Clay. Only
Yeah,
because
I
it-
think you go
only
with the
because
hot
they're
hand. Yeah.
only because they're at home.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
the only
Yeah,
thing I
certainly
think
do.
about.
What's been the biggest improvement for this team over the second half of the year? Obviously, you've had a little bit more favorable schedule, but you learned a lot from those big 3 that you played earlier in the year. So where's the biggest area of improvement, and then what's been the most fun thing about coaching this team?
I think just health in general. Not having Zaylen, but, Izagari having to step up and play, and Norris Brown having to step up and play. And then now you got Tellen that's playing really well at running back. That's why we're going to a 2-back system a lot of times, is because we got 4 guys that we can use in there, and none of them have a lot of carries at all. So it's fresh bodies, and you're able to, break and move kids. Not many are playing both ways.
Finally seems
Right.
like Zalen's feeling much better, because it took him a couple of games to get his stride.
Yeah, it did. I mean, when you have an ankle injury, a high ankle sprain, it it doesn't fully heal. So it still hurts him a little bit, but he is feeling better running the ball, and it's nice because we can use Zaylen, we can use Izagari, we can use Norris, we can use Talon at any time. So we got big backs, little backs, a little bit of everything and we throw in Ty Brown in there too, and that's more speed that we could use there. So I would say health is the biggest thing. We found depth at the running back spot. I'd say Carson opening up and trusting the other receivers has actually made us a better team as well. Carson's play has been really superb in the last 3-4 weeks of not turning the ball over, making the right choices and doing the right things. And I would say the biggest joy that we have as coaches is these kids are loving the game and playing the game, and they're having fun. You saw it at Bowling Green. They're high-fiving, picking kids up, and it was just you could feel the energy and the excitement of the kids because they, you challenge them. You want to be 4-6 or you want to be 5-5. That's all you have to say.
Big difference. Big difference.
And it does help a little bit that the running back was talking a little bit of trash in pregame to our kids. That may have had a factor in the excitement by our kids.
Hey, whatever motivates them.
That's true.
That's all about.
That's very true.
Well,
Very
Coach
true.
Chad Lung, we wish you the best of luck. Let's
Thank
show
you.
them what Little Giant football is all about on Friday.
Thanks. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Okay. Chad Long joining us. We do appreciate him joining us throughout this season here for the Coaches Show. And I want to thank Kyle Knight as well, who's been our host, and John Kearns, who filled in for me a couple weeks ago when I had a family situation. So it all worked out. Hey, it's been nice to be here. Frickers treats us so well. I mean, the waitresses here are so friendly.
very good.
The service is great, and consider this your party headquarters for the weekends because they'll show any college or a pro game that they can get on the screen. So, and for Scott Logan, I'm Tim Boulware. Aiden Klein, our producer engineer, back at the studios. Nick Roth running the camera for our Facebook page. I'm Tim Boulware. We'll see you Friday night. Our pregame at 6:30 from Medina Highland. The kickoff at 7 right here on Eagle 99, your home for Little Giant football. And we'll be with you on Friday. Talk to you then here on Eagle 99. Until then, have a blessed night.